Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to February's interval training. I'm Rebecca Campbell, Senior Director at Peloton. Thank you for joining today's training, which is all around workflow agents and Oracle. The format for today is roughly 25 minutes of a presentation by my colleague Ram Harandagal, followed by a few minutes of Q&A. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone will be muted during the call and chat will be disabled. Please put your questions in the Q&A and we will get to the questions after the demo. If you have additional questions or we were not able to get to your question today, please feel free to reach out to us. Also, if you have additional ideas for future trainings, please let us know. Without further ado, let's get into today's training. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Peloton's interval training. Today, we will be seeing the workflow agents in Oracle AI Agent Studio. So I'll run through the AI agents, which Oracle released in 26A, and what are the concepts and how we are going to enable those, how they are going to help us compared to what agents we have right now in AI Agent Studio. So without further ado, like the AI agents, how workflow AI agents work in Oracle. What is the structure? What is the architecture? What are the building blocks of these workflow agents in Oracle compared to what we had or previously monolith worker agents or the supervisory agents? How these are different compared to pre-existing AI agents we have from Oracle, right? So how these work? What are the mechanisms? How these agents can be triggered to perform particular task, and how these workflow agents are channelized to do that intended purposeful task compared to what we had our core LLM based monolith worker agents or supervisory agents, right? So what is the automation logic and how that agent life cycle looks like with workflow agent. So I have two different workflow agents, which I'll be showing at the end of this particular session, interval training, how they are configured in Oracle. And you will see the difference between worker agent versus monolith workflow agent. So what are workflow agents? These are the workflow agents are nothing but they are free defined. They are automated oriented agents, which has the definitive direction. That definitive direction is supported by the LLM calls, not completely depending on LLM, just LLM. This one will have the API calls. Then if you have a if-else decision tree, you can route this particular workflow agent to take and like follow that route. Then as we all talk a lot about when it comes to AI agent, human intervention. So in 26A, Oracle brought that human approvals into this concept of workflow based agents, right? These are controlled and you can audit these workflow agents compared to your regular agents, because every transaction, every step, every decision it makes, it's captured in OCI, and we can go and do the audit at any time, like what happened with this AI agent. So it is another key factor of workflow agents is that it never ever starts from the beginning again. It goes to that what we call it as node, that particular node which failed. From there it starts, and so that you are saving your time and your money as well when it comes to workflow agents. So I'll talk more about that particular effort and cost savings with respect to workflow agents as I go through. So that's the main core of workflow agents, right? So they are sequential. They don't over hallucinate. They don't overthink. Just purely based on the LLM and the level of LLM is trained, there's no such dependency. So we are scaling up our AI agents with workflow agent one level next, right? So we are limiting our LLM usage, but more so like we are giving the direction with the different nodes. So I just want to quickly touch base here. Our other AI agents are more so on the prompt based decision making and guidance or guardrails are enabled with the help of prompts, but workflow agents are guided by the nodes. Okay, so they are consistent. You can use these agents for repeatable executions. Then you can build that governance and explainability by bringing that OCI layer for every transaction this particular workflow agent does. Right. Just few of the examples. If you want to perform a PO matching, if you want to do some hold, validation on the sales order lines, you want to release those holds on the sales order lines, for example, PO matching for your invoice purposes and invoice processing. So those are the best use cases which we can, immediately talk, right? So compared to our regular agents. So those are regular agents. When I say regular agents, they are nothing but core LLM based built with APIs, just APIs, right? So those are our regular agents. They are very much, like hard to audit. They are flexible but less predictable because they start to um, learn on themselves and like give some assumption based decision. If you really try hard with those agents, right? So now I was referring to the nodes. So let me make big screen here. So these are the nodes which like Oracle has enabled for us to use when we are creating a workflow based agent, right? So the first object sub first block or first node is AI agent. So if you have those monolith worker agents, we can call those AI agents and limit their purposes, right? Our whole AI workflow agent is based on the workflow we are configuring. Then in this particular workflow, when you start to configure, you can call business object function, which is API, right? So we can have those, and the main core logical upgrade with workflow agent is that if condition. So if condition will allow us to configure that if else conditions into our workflow agent and then guide the agent instead of assuming that, like if for example I provided a quote of like purchase of laptops, so it tries to read that document, and when it read the document, I'll tell like if that document has a price, go and validate that price with the currency I have configured in Oracle Fusion. If not, try to configure the or use the best currency, which is like any currency we have stored in the variables, right? So we can tell that if else condition, and also if else condition can have that branch out to parallel processing of close to 10 parallel processing. So this AI agent, with the help of workflow agent, with the help of if condition, it can perform parallel tasks, 10 different parallel tasks with the help of this if condition, right? Then the next code is document processor. If you can attach a document, it reads that document and then gives you a summary, and like then if you can configure the next node to create an requisition, for example, right? So it will read through this document, extracts the summary of that and key parameters, and goes to the next node to create a purchase requisition, or if you want to create a work order or any particular task you want to do with the help of the external REST or REST API. Then next node is LLM. LLM is, it's not huge as we saw that in previous agents. This is as need basis. We are going to use AI LLM large language models. For example, I'll be using LLM to do the RAG, retrieval augmented generation RAG tasks, where hey, go and check if this supplier, like mentioned in the document, does exist in Oracle Fusion or not. So this LLM is used to validate that supplier sites, unit of measure, item information, or customer information. So for all such RAG based inquiries, we can use LLM because we are not really heavily built, depending on the LLM and the business object, because we are using the REST directly or REST APIs directly, business object functions directly. In this particular workflow agent nodes, we have this another node called send email. If you want to send an email for confirmation of the success or failure of a particular task. We can configure that. We can set the variables I told earlier, like if you want to reuse the variables like supplier site, we can set those variables along with the item, unit of measure, or price of that sort of set of variables. The last two nodes are vector related. So vector database is where you want to store some, update the chunk of records into small database and reuse it for your AI agent purposes. So we can have a vector DB reader, and we can also have the another node for vector DB write. So these are the different nodes available in workflow agent in Oracle. So when I want to give a quick glimpse of how we can really build our workflow agent is that it can be done in four different phases. First phase one is that triggering event where you can trigger that particular workflow agent with the help of manual document upload, or say like we have another folder where we get those files constantly from our vendors or customers, and you want to process those files and those files become a triggering event. We can configure that, right? Webhook, or basically we can use that EDI based mechanism with the help of nodes configuration in workflow agent. Then you set a variables, and once the variables are set to validate the supplier site, and price, for example, if I want to take, then for those variables, the file which was uploaded, it will be processed by document processor node, and it captures those values from the document uploaded. Okay, so then it extend REST API, and then if you want to update your database, vector database, you can go and update the vector database, or you can read the data or information from that vector database, right? After information is captured from the document, you are going to use that information to perform next task, right? So we are calling next in the node, if you see that there's an AI agent to perform a task. So for my example, I want to create a requisition for the quote I received. I have a simple AI agent. It's not heavily built with all the prompting and all the guardrails. Its purpose is to just create a requisition from the inputs we are going to feed from that particular trigger phase, right? So that AI agent will perform the task which we need to do, and to perform that particular task, it will use the LLM information or LLM node, which supports that AI agent, right? So when we are creating that, say like requisition in the phase three, intelligence and decision, where we are going to call if else conditions here. So if the lines are, for example, in multiple currencies or multiple unit of measures, or do we need to convert any of those unit of measures from the document to what we have configured in Oracle. So all those if else conditions we can configure in the phase three. So you are giving a direction to your workflow agent, and we are telling that don't assume, don't imagine, and don't hallucinate with respect to the data provided and trying to do something which is not really matching what we want. So that's the reason we use if else trees. And if at all you want to have that purchase requisition to be approved manually, you can call this human approval node for requisition approval. Okay, so business object function we can call and also if you want to repeat this particular step for multiple lines in the document uploaded for any reason, we can use this loop node in the workflow agent. Okay, so we talked about trigger, how you can trigger the workflow agent in Oracle 26a is that one is webhook trigger, where you will use that post of HTTP from a external REST API. And as I give an example of file comes into our EDI folder, and like as file is there, this particular trigger is a workflow agent is triggered to read that file and process it and do the next step. Same way IoT sensor data, and if it is set the threshold is like going above or lower limit from the IoT sensors, you want to trigger this particular agent, workflow agent, to create a maintenance work order, for example, or alert somebody on the levels of the temperature of the compressor, for example. So all that you can initiate as a trigger with a webhook trigger. Another trigger which Oracle provided is very simple. If you have these files coming in, say for example, codes are coming in from our vendor to our mailboxes, we can configure the mailbox, Outlook mailbox, to our workflow agent. So we can configure that from this particular email address. If there's a file attached, trigger this particular workflow agent to read those documents and perform next step, right? Third one is you can schedule this triggering. So go and check every night, 12 a.m. for this folder if there are any files. Irrespective of whether file is there or not, it does its job, goes and to try to find a file. It's something similar to what we do our scheduled jobs, scheduled processes we do today in Oracle Cloud. The last obvious option is to have the human intervention to trigger this particular workflow agent. So what are the different life cycles of that agent, right? As we before you trigger, it will be in idle status. Once you trigger, it knows a purpose. It starts to go through all the nodes of the workflow, and when it is doing, if you have any a manual intervention, a human in the loop decision to be made, it will wait, and based on the decision comes in, it will complete the task. And also, you can configure this workflow agent to send a communication for errors or failures of the task which it was supposed to do. Okay. Then 26A, what's new in workflow agents? Email trigger, schedule trigger, and then new AI nodes called workflow and RAG document tool. Then workflow control nodes are like human approval is added. Loops you can you can build the loops for particular task. Then, as I explained, like you can run parallel or close to 10 tasks with the help of this if-else condition. That way, like you can perform more with one worker agent or was a workflow agent, right? Now, for the example which I'm going to provide or show and explain that is related to the code to purchase requisition workflow agent. Originally, as I told, like if you configure your mailbox to receive those codes, it will trigger with that email, and then it will go to that particular mailbox, try to find those attachments, and then it look into that particular file. Who's the seller or buyer, or basically seller like our vendor, what are the items, quantities, unit prices, currency, and delivery terms. It will look into all those, and then it will go into the LLM agent where it will create a purchase requisition based on the information it captured. So then like it will call Oracle Fusion Self-Service Procurement REST API and create the requisition in draft and submits for approval to human for approval. So this is the agent architecture. You can build your AI agents by deciding what is the purpose, like how you want that particular workflow agents to travel through and do perform particular task, and those tasks are mapped to the nodes available in the workflow agent structure. So we need to decide the correct node to perform particular task. So if there is if else condition or decision needs to be made, we can use that if else condition to guide this AI agent. So this workflow agent AI agents are really have a clear direction what they're supposed to do, and that way you can achieve more in less time and less token consumption. Okay, so before I go into Oracle Fusion AI Agent Studio, what are the other AI agents which Oracle released? There is for procurement, there is autonomous sourcing assistant. For inventory, there is a cycle count analysis advisor. Manufacturing work order sync assist, which does the analysis of the impact of work definition changes. If somebody changes work definition, then it has to update the work structure, and that work structure has to go and update the work order based on the work definition changes. Right. So all that we have that one particular program, but that instead of that program, we can use this workflow agent to do that particular task. we can schedule this particular workflow AI agent to do that every 3 hours or every night based on business needs. For order management, we have this order fulfillment processing assistant. It will completely help with shipping, picking, and order status. And then also we can scale it up to shift confirm with that AI agent. Another for procurement, we have supplier negotiation award assistant, inventory aging advisor. It will go and look for the on an inventory and since how long it's been there in inventory and it's never consumed, so that it will advise on next steps what can be done with that aging inventory. Sales and operation planning, planning cycle assistant, and for order management, there is a sales order assistant which can help our CSR to do their job efficiently, to find the order status, where exactly it is there in the fulfillment status, and the orchestration and all that details it can perform. Okay, now quickly I'll get into Oracle and show the two AI agents which I want to run through, which makes so tools and AI Agent Studio. I have created one workflow AI agent from the template which Oracle has provided. So to go into that, I'm going into AI agents. You'll be able to see your published as well as in progress AI agents in the AI agent teams. I have here on the AI agent studio. So I have this code to purchase requisition chart assistant. So this is a very robust AI agent with the workflow enabled, right? If you can see this screen, zoom out. So it has so many nodes, and then every tree you see it is if condition used here, right? Either I can see it as vertical, or if you want to see it as horizontal, we can change the view of this AI agent here. And if you want to test any of this AI agent, which is in progress, use the debug option there. But before I go and show quick debug, I'll explain these different nodes we have here. So this AI agent is designed structure to capture the user session information, who log into this particular Oracle AI agent studio and get their all information, username, person, what all access they have, whether they are really able to create this requisitions or not, right? Then set session variables. This is another node, get intent, like where what exactly we want to do with this particular worker agent. So LLM is called to basically tell that this agent is to create a person requisition. Now it says here, based on like we have certain intent for this agent to create a requisition, but if we upload some document to create a work order, the intent of this agent is not answered or addressed, right? So that's the reason it goes here and generate a message for other intent. It says that document you submitted is to create a work order, not the purchase requisition. So if that agent intent is matching to the purpose of this workflow agent, it goes in and looks into that particular file. And if the file is found, it goes down to this. If you see this, the nice structure, if else conditions are built in for every node here. If the file is found, go here. If the file is not found, generate not found message, right? Generate message now for other intent. So clearly you can give a direction to our workflow AI agent to perform those defined set of tasks. Say like file is found, it will go and check for active requisition preferences, fetch active fusion unit of measures. So it will make sure that it's the purchase requisition or document is correct, created correctly with correct unit of measure and the all other attributes we have configured for self-service procurement, right? Unit of measures, currencies, extract requisition attributes, create a requisition, then it derives the LLMs map to or unit of measure conversion in Oracle Fusion, right? So it will go and validate all those places to make sure we have this information correct to create a requisition. Once all the information is correct, it will create the purchase requisition at this node. I'll show this. Right, so it has the payload generated by structure is updated here for this particular node, and if it fails it will provide the failure message. If it is success it will provide the details in this particular structure. Okay, and it's nothing but this is nothing but a payload for this purchase requisition creation. It is not always that, if all the attributes are correct, system may be successful to create that requisition. If it fails, it will give the result saying, purchase requisition is not created. And that's where it ends. If it is successful, it summarizes the requisition creation and then submits that requisition for approval to human. And if approved, then I'll show you that it gives that information and it will say that whether you want to approve or reject of the creation. If I approve, it goes and create purchase requisition. And once the purchase requisition is created, you will get the hyperlink. Okay, so for demo purpose, quick, I will show this. I'll upload a document. I have this one document prepared as a quote to this particular agent, and I say create requisition. So this is set to give a failure message. I'll show that what we are doing. It starts to go through all the nodes. You start to see that how it is thinking, what it is doing. So if you see my prompt was here, it read the document. It is going to get that user session information, right? It did that email address and all that information. Then it goes to the next node. One second, let me finish that. In the meantime, Rebecca, do we have any questions? It will take some time.
Yes, actually, we do have one question for you. How efficient is the workflow agent compared to monolith worker?
Thank you. That's a great question. So workflow agent versus monolith worker agent, we have estimated close to 20 to 30,000 tokens are consumed by monolith agent, compared to every node consumes around 200 to 300 tokens for performing a particular task. All in all, overall, if your agent, based on the complexity you have, you are saying a lot of tokens. And as we know, AI agents are more so based on the token consumption. They are fine-tuned based on the token consumption. But if you use this workflow agent, you're already building a best design architecture for your AI agent to consume less tokens. Then do not hallucinate, do not make assumptions, do not make decisions based on the assumptions. This workflow agent will do the binary decisions here, right? 0 or 1. So, and another best part is that if our worker agent based on LLM, it fails, if you give a next prompt again, it starts from the beginning. But workflow agent will start from where it failed, right? And it starts from that particular node and it starts to reassess and retry that particular node and perform the next task. So those are the few advantages of this. In the meantime, as I told you, it did flow through all those nodes of the workflow. And now it is asking, as a human intervention, it's saying that the code is from Advanced Corp with one lines and total of $565. Do you want to proceed? I click on approve. It took a human intervention approval and it starts to go to next node. Okay, so then I talked of the token efficiency, then parallel execution. I told it can perform multiple tasks parallelly and it recovers from the node where it failed compared to our regular AI agent where it starts from the beginning. Our regular AI agent has to be fine-tuned with a lot of prompts to guardrail guide to perform a particular task with focused intent or purpose. Right. So another best thing is that, like we really don't need to use this big LLMs for workflow agent. If you know the concept of big versus small LLM agents, small LLM agents are nothing but the broken down, LLMs from the big LLM. So these small LLMs are purpose-based small LLMs. They are trained, for example, in our case, it is trained to create requisition. That's it. It is not going to perform any other task. So that way you can use those small LLMs and you can regulate your token consumptions by this particular workflow agent. Okay, so those are the few differences between um, workflow agent and the regular LLM based agent. It is it is giving some error in the since in the morning, but I just wanted to show like the all the nodes did pass through, right? It will tell which node it did for. So let me start from the beginning. These are the currencies it did go through. Yeah. So it started, it read the document, it tried to find the intent, and after before finding the intent, it did validate my session. Then session variables are like captured, which is in English. Then it tried to find that intent to create that requisition. Then yep, create. So you'll be able to see all this input tokens and all. But once we publish our AI agent, we can hide all this details, right? If file found, get active requisition preferences, then fetch active unit of measures. It did go through all the unit of measures in the Fusion instance we have, and this instance is our demo instance. We may have more unit of measures, right? So that is that, and then it went through the currencies, and then it went into um, currencies done. It is creating the requisition attributes, extracting the requisition attributes from supplier quotation, map derived unit of measures, right? So all the nodes it did go through, and it did ask for my approval, right? So this is one AI agent which I wanted to show, and quickly I'll run through another AI agent just for it's a different module. That's why I wanted to show that. This is diagnostic AI agent. Yeah, this. This is more so for the maintenance, asset maintenance module or asset maintenance operations, where you can ask this AI agent to get repair suggestions. For example, you can ask this AI agent to create a work order, right? So they're like, if repair suggestion for work order found, post repair suggestion, verify email provided for, then it will communicate all that details in an email to one who is configured to receive that email, right? So this is very simple. You get a repair suggestions for your asset, for your maintenance operations or maintenance activities. There are a few others workflow agents, as I explained earlier. And we are, as a Peloton, we are also creating multiple AI agents. Quick, let me see if has anybody has any questions.
No, no more questions, just that one that you already answered.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. That is the end of our time together. Stay tuned for more trainings next month. And thank you, Ram. Wonderful presentation as always. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rebecca. Thanks for thank you.